Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Biden administration is intent on negotiating a new path to nuclearization agreement with the world's largest state sponsor of terror. That would be Iran. And Joe Biden said it was a mistake for the Trump administration to leave it, although in the new agreement, any new agreement would include enhanced safeguards, whatever those may be. They're not clear at this juncture. To help us understand why such a gambit isn't pure folly, we're pleased to be joined by Trita Parsi. He's the Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute, formerly with the UN Security Council, also the co-founder and former president of the National Iranian American Council, and he was instrumental in getting the first Iran deal pushed through. Mr. Parsi, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So why should we renegotiate a new nuclear deal with Iran? Why does this make sense in terms of enhancing global security?
Well, we shouldn't renegotiate. We should return to the deal that existed and that the Iranians lived up to and everyone else lived up to until the U.S. pulled out. It prevented Iran's paths to a nuclear weapon. 98% of all of their nuclear material was shipped out. Inspections that meant that there were cameras and instruments inside of their program. What was going on in the nuclear program all the time is what that deal brought about. Once we are back in the deal and we're in good standing with it, then I definitely think we should renegotiate certain terms of it in order to see if there's ways that we can lengthen or further strengthen aspects of it.
With respect to them living up to the agreement, not cheating, it has been widely reported. I mean, the BBC reported in November of 2019 that the International Atomic Energy Agency found uranium particles at an undeclared site. So how is that not cheating?
That is not cheating because at the end of the day, the IAEA investigated that whole thing and came to the conclusion that Iran was not in violation. You cannot only report half of that story. The IAEA came to the conclusion that that was not a violation. At the end of the day, the Iranians were in full compliance up until a year after the U.S. left the deal. You cannot have the expectation that any country will be in full compliance if the U.S. itself pulls out of the deal. I cannot rent a house from you and stop paying rent, thinking that it's really weird if you stop allowing me to live there. That doesn't work. And it's the same thing in international relations. If the United States wants other countries to be able to live up to the deal, we have to live up to the deal. And we were the ones who left this deal. That's why it's a good thing that we're trying to go back into it, because we do not have an alternative to this deal. All this talk about a different type of a deal, etc., is proposed by folks who have never negotiated with the Iranians, don't know how to negotiate, and have opposed every negotiation with the Iranians.
Well,
the alternative truly is for us to go to war with Iran. And if that's what we want, we should be honest about it and say it, and not trick the American people that we're trying to get something better, when in reality, we pulled out of the deal twice. We were 10 minutes away from actually having a war with Iran. And that war would be 100 times worse than Iraq and Afghanistan.
Well, yeah, I'm not proposing war against Iran, but I am suggesting
if you're not proposing war against Iran, then we have to have a serious conversation about the nuclear deal instead of showing pieces of telling the full story. The Iranians have not been found out of compliance with the agreement, and that is a critical thing to mention.
Well, that seems to be very much in dispute, including by the Israelis and Netanyahu. But
yeah, and the IAEA is the agency that is investigating this. There may be some news agencies that are reporting it differently, but the IAEA is the final word, and everyone can just go on the IAEA website and read it for themselves.
Why would we believe that the mullahs who lord over the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world are good faith actors?
We're not trusting that they are going to be good faith actors. We are trusting that the inspections regime that we put together tells us what they're doing instead of us having to listen. The inspections regime is at the very center of this. Nowhere in this deal are we going by what they're saying or trusting them. This deal has never been built on trust. It's been built on the inspections. Now, having said that, again, I have to remind you, we were the ones not safe because we're the ones who left the agreement.
Well, right. Obviously, the determination was that it wasn't a good agreement, and we didn't believe that the Iranians were or would honor it.
Actually, the U.S. intelligence agencies also that the Iranians were in agreement. The Trump administration itself twice certified that the Iranians were in compliance. Trump had his own different ideas about this under a tremendous amount of influence of certain countries in the region who want the United States to go to war with Iran. And if they have their problems with Iran, I fully understand that. I just don't understand why the United States should have to go to war with Iran on behalf of Saudi Arabia. Why should American soldiers die for
well,
the Saudi royal family?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I am sure. I don't accept the premise that it's a binary or that we would be going to war on behalf of Saudi Arabia. But there is the Saudi Arabian point is relevant in the sense that do you worry at all that a deal with Iran could disrupt the process of normalization between Arab nations and Israel that's ongoing if you don't have U.S. engagement and support in pushing back against Iran?
Let me tell you what that whole thing about normalization between Arab states and Israel is all about. These are Arab states that never were at war with Israel. The real conflict is between the Israelis and the Palestinians. The UAE has been a de facto ally of Israel for more than 15 years now. So has the Saudis. They collaborated against Hezbollah in the Lebanese war in 2006. So that is just formalizing a reality that already has existed. And it would have continued anyway. But what that formalization was about, however, really important for the American people to know, particularly as we are, I hope, celebrating that we're not coming home from Afghanistan. By the UAE recognizing what the UAE got in return was the ability to be able to buy F-35 in the United States. These are the most advanced American weapon fighters that we have. The UAE doesn't buy these weapons because it really needs them. I mean, it's already outspending Iran with a factor of 3. The Saudis are outspending Iran with a factor of 5 when it comes to weapons. They're buying these because a country that buys that degree of American weaponry gets a de facto.
Mr. Parsi?
Sure
I'm sorry. I thought we lost you. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We de facto interest in making sure that UAE never loses a war because they're using our best weapons. And the UAE bought this precisely because the worry they have, the biggest worry the Israelis have, the biggest worry the Saudis have, is actually not Iran and a nuclear program. I'm not saying that's not a worry for them. I'm talking about the biggest worry. The biggest worry they have is that the United States would stop dominating the region military and allow its troops to come home from the Middle East. They don't want that because they benefit from the way that the U.S.'s military presence shifts the balance of power in the region. And I totally understand that. If I was sitting in their shoes, I would probably see it the same way. But the reality is the American public wants to come home from the Middle East. We are tired of these endless wars. We don't want to be in these endless wars. It's part of the reason why Donald Trump won. The only politician that actually channeled the American public sentiments about this issue. And this measure of buying the F-35s and the recognition is all aimed at making sure it's as difficult of a time as possible to be able to pull out of the Middle East militarily.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a fair point, and I generally support that disposition, but I do have concerns, and you were mentioning them. If Washington has declining influence in the region, will you have some of these Arab nations look to cut deals with China and Russia? And that's not in our interests either.
I really would not worry about that for a very simple reason. First of all, the Saudis and them are not going to spend that much money on weaponry. They're only doing it because it's an insurance policy, because they want to bind the U.S. to their security. However, you don't get security guarantees from China or Russia when you buy their weapons. They don't make deals of that kind. That's what the U.S. provides entire systems, etc., and wants to have that type of relationship, which I think we should stop having. We have too many of those relations and are at risk of constantly ending up in war because of a third country attacking a fourth country. And that's why we have ended up in these endless wars. The Russians and the Chinese don't offer that, and not attractive to the Saudis or the others. Moreover, our primary security is not based on how much weapons we sell. A lot of the weapons we have sold to the UAE and to the Saudis have ended up in the hands of ISIS. So we should really not think that we're making ourselves more safe by just pouring weapons into the Middle East, mindful of the fact that so much of that weaponry actually ends up in the hands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
I know we're up against the clock with you, but just one quick question. What should be the protocol in terms of relaxing any of the sanctions that have been imposed on Iran that has crippled its economy?
Well, the sanctions are supposed to be leveled, which means we're not having them there for their own sake. We're having them there in order to get what we want, to compel the other side to do something that we think is in our interest. Lifting the sanctions, I'm talking about future sanctions once the U.S. is back in the deal, that would be because the Iranians are moving in the nuclear issue, or if it's an add-on agreement on regional matters in a matter that we find attractive. When it comes to the current sanctions that have been imposed, those have been by the Trump administration. Those have been imposed in order to prevent the U.S. from going back into the deal. The deal says quite clearly that in order for the Iranians to live up to all of their obligations, the United States need to have lifted those sanctions. So if we want to go back into the deal, we do need to lift those sanctions. If we think that crippling Iran's economy is better than preventing Iran from having a pathway to a bomb, then we should say that as well. But I think the vast majority would feel like it's much better to make sure that they can't get a nuclear weapon, and whether their economy is crippled or not is actually not relevant to us. What's relevant to us is that they don't have weaponry that can pose a threat.
He is Trita Parsi, Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute, formerly with the UN Security Council. He's also the co-founder and former president of the National Iranian American Council. Mr. Parsi, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Game on. Folks, finding a home without someone stealing it first is a real thing right now. So you have to be prepared. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for United Faith Mortgage. And unless you are pre-approved, you may be out of luck getting your dream home. Yes, the market is hot right now. And at United Faith Mortgage, they're great at getting you approved and making your approval look as good as possible to help you get that home. It's a struggle out there, and they want you to win. Yes, rates are up a little bit, but they're up from the basement, which means that they're still lower than pretty much any other moment over the last 100 years. And it could mean that this is your last chance to still refinance and save big bucks. Stop procrastinating. United Faith Mortgage makes it easy. So here's what you do. Go to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. That's UnitedFaithMortgage.com. Do it today and save yourself some green.
United Mortgage Corp, Melbourne, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Recca, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
NJ Diet offers all of their patients a scientific approach to weight loss with new technology using hair and saliva sampling to customize a weight loss program specifically for you. NJ Diet is the only one of the only weight loss companies that is in this country using this technology for weight loss success. NJ Diet is a hormone detoxification system that evaluates and targets each individual person's needs, then balances your hormones where the side effect is weight loss. NJ Diet's bioenergetic feedback technology allows the doctors to customize the natural process with laser-like precision for contractually guaranteed weight loss of 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. Then NJ Diet uses your DNA to create your ideal diet and workout regimen, so you can keep it off. NJ Diet is all natural, no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. Now with a location in Skokie or from the comfort of your own home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. Or log on to njdiet.com to lose the weight for good. That's njdiet.com.
As time goes by, we can all use a little more help getting around. Staying mobile and independent can be tough for some, especially our aging loved ones. When you need assistance finding the right quality products to make life easier and more enjoyable, there's Mars Medical Supply. Home medical equipment and supplies to keep you or someone you care for independent and mobile. Whether it's living with certain medical conditions and disorders or recovering from injuries and surgeries that are difficult to cope with, shopping for specialty products can be frustrating. The Mars Medical Consultants will help you find the right solution and feature a full line of lift chairs, scooters, knee walkers, power wheelchairs, and rollator walkers. There's also financing available on purchases over $200 through Care Credit to help you get the products you need right away. For home medical equipment and supplies, rely on Mars Medical Supply, 333 West Maple Street in New Lenox. Browse products and featured items online at marsmedicalsupply.com. Mars Medical, keeping you independent and mobile for over 30 years with customer care that's out of this world.
All right. We're going to tee it up, huh? Monday, June 28th at the Mistwood Golf Club in Romeoville. I can't wait. It's our annual AM 560 golf outing. And once again, we're proud to partner with our friends at the 100 Club of Illinois. They provide resources, financial support, access to training, moral support to both the families of first responders killed in the line of duty and active duty first responders throughout the state of Illinois. Folks, it's your chance to back the blue. And again, it is Monday, June 28th at the Mistwood Golf Club in Romeoville. Enjoy a full day of golf, which includes lunch and breakfast or dinner. And you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package. So if you own a business, this is a great way to advertise if you come to our golf outing. If you buy the foursome for $1,196, a great day of golf and breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But you'll also get 25 one-minute commercials that will air right here Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m., along with a free digital marketing analysis. Sean Thompson will be golfing in the morning, and we'll be golfing in the afternoon. So if you want to golf with one of us, the cost is $2,000 per foursome. Dan Proft has already been taken. Sean's still available, and so am I. So get on it. Go to 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. The tournament is sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford, Remke's Garage, Mars Medical, Pop's Italian Beef and Sausage, and State Farm Insurance Agent Finney Rachel.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, I got to ask Marcus if I've been purchased yet for the foursome, but you're already taken. Aren't you lucky?
Yes, I'm very happy about that.
Yes, it's good stuff.
Do we have Why Dan Proft is Single?
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
I want to update everybody on the world's first